Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And this is our top 5 mid-size luxury SUVs. And we don't go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's old school. We basically go through them alphabetically, and some have high points for some attributes and then low points for others. And then you decide what one fits your lifestyle.
So some of these are 5-passenger SUVs and some of them have a third row. In alphabetical order, we start with the Acura MDX. This is a real favorite of mine. I find that it is spacious enough. It handles really well. It handles more like a large sedan. It's easy to get in and out of, and it is comfortable.
And it has the available Type S powertrain, which gives you more power, which gives you an air suspension. It also gives you fantastic braking system. And when you compare it to some of its German rivals, which are also on the list, it actually looks like a bit of a break. It's a little bit of a hidden secret in the Acura lineup for those that maybe considered an Audi Q7. They could have the Type S version of the MDX for the same or slightly less money. Yeah. It's not all roses though. There are some issues, and it mostly comes to the interior.
Yeah, we're not crazy about the infotainment system. I mean, it's really getting outdated now. You have to control the screen with a trackpad. It's not a touch screen. Some people say to me, Andrea, we have gotten used to it. Others, not so much. It still drives them crazy. It also has a button shifter. I prefer a traditional shifter. So there are some things that I like and don't like about the MDX. The third row is also not huge, but not as small as something like the BMW X5.
Okay, so overall, I think it's a great package. It handles very well. It's got a good old naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6. You want more power, you can get that Type S. The interior is kind of a bit of a misfit compared to the others, and it's covered with piano shiny hard plastic, and that's also a detriment, but comfortable, very well designed for family use. That's why it's on our list.
And I really like the exterior design of it. It's held up really well over the years. It's a nice looking, it kind of has an athletic look to it.
So let's get into the specs.
There are 2 powertrain options, both with a 10-speed automatic transmission. The base engine is a 3.5-liter V6, 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. The second option, the more powerful Type S with a 3-liter turbo V6, 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. Standard all-wheel drive in Canada, front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive options are available in the US. J.D. Power gives the MDX an overall score of 78 out of 100, and Consumer Reports 70 out of 100.
Let's get into pricing. We'll do Canada first, then flip to the United States. The base model starts at $67,500, and the most expensive Type S is $88,500. In the United States, the base model starts at just under $50,000, and the most expensive Type S Advanced is $73,500. Here's the fuel economy for the base 3.5-liter V6. 12.6 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 9.4 on the highway. That's 19 miles per gallon city, 25 miles per gallon highway.
We go from A to B. It's now the BMW X5. This one is a tough one to beat in this category unless you're looking for more space. That inline-six engine is terrific. It handles so well. It has this athleticism about it when you're driving it. Although I must say, BMW is making their suspensions a little bit softer, but sport mode is fantastic.
Well, that's also the case with many of the other brands on this list as well, with Porsche and Mercedes. Softer seems to be better for many people, but you're right, it got a little facelift, and it's one of those ones you have to really know your BMWs to know it did get a facelift, but it's handsome, and it's the inline-six cylinder for me, and the way it's calibrated with the automatic transmission, it's just something that BMW has been perfecting over the years. And you know, BMW used to use the moniker ultimate driving machine. I don't think it's not ultimate because it is an SUV, but if you're somebody that likes driving more than just having a vehicle as an appliance, this one will make you feel good. And another benefit to this latest X5 update is they didn't get rid of the iDrive controller. With a lot of their other new vehicles, they've gone everything in a touchscreen. It still has real buttons and a controller. I think it's probably the market research. The buyers that buy these, maybe a little bit older, still like that stuff.
Yeah, maybe, could be. I also like that they improved on the plug-in hybrid powertrain. It now has more EV range. That was one of our biggest complaints about the X5 plug-in hybrid. So I think that that's really great for people who are looking for an electrified vehicle. It's comfortable. It handles really well. I like the driving position. Maneuverability of this vehicle is excellent. You would never feel like you're driving a larger SUV. Now, keep in mind, it's not the biggest in this class. Even second row legroom isn't huge. You'll probably be a little bit surprised when you try it out if you're comparing it to other competitors in this segment.
And it has delivered some really quite incredible quality scores in the last few years. So let's get into the specs.
The X5 base engine is a turbocharged 3-liter inline-six with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission, 375 horsepower, and 383 pound-feet of torque. The 50e, the plug-in hybrid, also has a turbocharged inline-six, an electric motor with a combined 483 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, up to 64 kilometers, 40 miles of EV range. The X5 M60i with a twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8 and a 48-volt mild hybrid system, 523 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. In Canada, standard all-wheel drive, but in the US, there is a rear-wheel drive model available for the 40i. Consumer Reports gives the X5 an overall score of 92 out of 100 and JD Power 81 out of 100.
Here's the price. Canada first, then the US. The base M40i starts at just under $90,000, and the most expensive M60i is $111,000. In the United States, the base model starts at $65,500, and the M60i is $89,500. Here's the fuel economy for the base inline six-cylinder. 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers city, 8.7 on the highway. That's 23 miles per gallon city, 27 miles per gallon highway. The plug-in hybrid gets a combined 4.9 liters equivalent per 100 kilometers. That's 59 miles per gallon equivalent. When the battery is depleted, the combined fuel economy is 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers, or 22 miles per gallon combined.
Up next is the Lexus RX. I think that Lexus did a really nice job with this. It's probably one of my favorite looking RXs. I know some people don't necessarily like the big grille, but I like how they incorporated it into the side of the vehicle. It just blends in a little bit nicer. I like all the updated infotainment system in this vehicle. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is standard, and it's comfortable.
And they came with powertrains that give you flexibility. And the most important one is what they call on the Toyota side, the Hybrid Max. We'll call it that for just ease of use. It's the engine that has a regular conventional automatic transmission and has the hybrid system. So it's not totally designed to give you ultimate fuel efficiency.
No.
It's designed to sort of mimic what you would be replacing, an inline six-cylinder, for example, in the X5 with. So really good horsepower and torque, but more efficient than you would if you had just a regular gasoline model.
And keep in mind, although it is a sportier Lexus, it's still a Lexus. So you have that real refined feel to it, unlike maybe something like a BMW, which is more engaging. But overall, I think that they've done a really good job. Some cons, some people complain that it's not quite big enough. There's no third row anymore for the RX, but if you want more space, Lexus brought out the TX, which is a very big 3-row SUV.
They also have a plug-in. We drove the plug-in and we were very impressed with the refinement of the system, and that's one thing you have to remember. So as we mentioned at the very beginning, we list these alphabetically, and the high point of the Lexus is going to be more refined feeling, more traditional luxury, especially if you get the plug-in model, and others on this list might be a little bit more raucous and fun to drive. So keep that in mind.
Let's get into the specs. There are 4 powertrain options, lots to choose from. The 350 has a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with an 8-speed automatic transmission, 275 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. The 350h, a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder hybrid system, matched to an eCVT with a combined 246 horsepower. The 450h Plus, a plug-in hybrid with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with Lexus hybrid drive. It's matched to an eCVT and gets a combined 304 horsepower and 60 kilometers, 37 miles of EV range. The 500h, the most powerful RX with a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder and Lexus hybrid drive, a 6-speed automatic transmission with a combined 367 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. All models are standard all-wheel drive. Consumer Reports gives the RX an overall score of 78 out of 100 and JD Power 83 out of 100.
Here's the price for Canada. We'll do the US in a second. The base 350 starts at just under $63,000. And the most expensive plug-in hybrid is spendy. It's just over $90,000. In the United States, the base 350 starts at just under $50,000. And the plug-in hybrid is just over $70,000. Here's the fuel economy. There are so many numbers to go through, whether it's the turbo, the conventional gas, the high-performance hybrid, or the plug-in. All of the numbers are on the screen for metric and for US miles per gallon. Pause the video and have a look for yourself.
Next up in alphabetical order is the Mercedes-Benz GLE.
Different than the other German rival from BMW, Mercedes-Benz has a base engine that is a turbo 4-cylinder. You know, BMW still, their base engine is an inline-six. Not to worry, because Mercedes-Benz also has an inline-six with a mild hybrid system in the GLE 450. The base 350 is that turbo 4.
This is a spacious vehicle. It's comfortable. The interior is very upscale. Mercedes-Benz does such a beautiful job with their interiors. You really feel like you're driving a luxury brand or sitting in a luxury brand. They've now added a plug-in hybrid to their lineup, which Zach and I found to be terrific. Maneuverability is very good in this vehicle. Some cons, I would say that the third row is smaller than others in this class. But overall, I think that it's a great choice for people who are looking for a more comfortable drive, unless you get an AMG model.
All right, so the third row not available with the plug-in hybrid.
No.
And one thing that was kind of frustrating when we had a chance to drive these over the years, they would always send us the top spec with the air suspension.
Yeah.
And I found that the GLE, for my taste personally, was a little too soft. Once again, like the Lexus RX, if you like that real traditional, smooth, refined luxury, you might want to buy the GLE with the air suspension. It delivers that in spades. However, we had one recently that had the passive shocks, regular steel springs and shocks, and I liked that so much more. It was more of what I wanted. And that one also had the inline-six cylinder. I thought that was a great package. So make sure you try with and without to see if you like it or not. Oh, by the way, Andrea, we just dumped on Acura for their trackpad that they have in theirs. But this has a trackpad, but you know what? This one's good.
We recently reviewed the GLE plug-in hybrid, and I really liked the interior and the fact that it still has the trackpad. Can you believe I'm saying that? Instead of the big screen where everything is done at the center console. However, screen is easy enough to use. But there's something about old school Mercedes-Benz with that trackpad,
that
not
works.
glitchy at all.
It works.
Yeah. But it's still a touchscreen, so you can do either or, unlike that MDX where it's not a touchscreen.
All right, let's get into the specs. There's plenty of powertrain options.
The base 350 has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a mild hybrid system, a 9-speed automatic transmission with 255 horsepower. The 450, a 3-liter turbocharged inline-six with 375 horsepower. The 450e, a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a plug-in hybrid system. It's matched to a 9-speed automatic transmission with a combined 381 horsepower, and it gets up to 77 kilometers, 48 miles of of range. The AMG 53 has a turbocharged inline-six with 429 horsepower, and the AMG 63S, a handcrafted 4-liter V8 bi-turbo with 603 horsepower. In the US, there's also the 580 with the same 4-liter V8 bi-turbo, but with 510 horsepower. Consumer Reports gives the GLE an overall score of 61 out of 100, and JD Power a better score of 79 out of 100.
Here's the pricing in Canada, the US in a second. The base 350 starts at just under $83,000, and the most expensive AMG 63S is $162,000. In the United States, the base 350 starts at $62,500, and the most expensive AMG 63S is $128,000. Here's the fuel economy for the base GLE 350, 11.8 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 8.6 on the highway. That's 20 miles per gallon city, 27 miles per gallon highway. For the GLE 450e, that's the plug-in, it gets 4.1 liters equivalent per 100 kilometers. That's 57 miles per gallon equivalent. When the battery is depleted, the combined fuel economy is 9.9 liters per 100 kilometers. That's 24 miles per gallon combined.
And finally on our top 5 list in alphabetical order is the Porsche Cayenne. Now this is such a beautiful handling vehicle. Whether you decide on getting a high performance hybrid or gas model or one that is not high performance, they are all available to you. There are so many powertrain options.
So the big deal for this 2024 model year is in the S, the Cayenne S, the V8 has returned. Yeah. So for the last generation, they eliminated the V8 and they went to a twin turbo V6. And now they've brought the V8 back. It's not the same V8, but it has a lot of collectability. So because Porsche and every other brand is moving towards electrification, the real enthusiasts are going to really key in on that and go, well, I'll spend the money and get the S because that V8 is going to be something people want in the future.
Now, the cabin is comfortable and it's quiet. There are things that we don't love about the Cayenne, and that is all the high gloss piano black that's been added and the same shifter that is in the Taycan, because as Porsche moves towards electrification, I'm thinking that that is the shifter that we're going to be getting.
Yeah, and they're going to electrify the Cayenne. They have announced that. The first one is going to be Macan, and then Cayenne's coming. So it's a little shifter that's up here. It's not very performance car kind of feeling. And the interesting thing about it is there's a hole. They left a hole right here. For what? I don't know. That they could have put I don't understand it. And it's so small anyway. So they put it up there, which kind of reminds me of a minivan, just to me. And then Andrea's right. So we've complained over the last couple of generations anywhere. The last generation is there's too much shiny hard plastic, but they seem addicted to it and they can't get rid of it.
Nope. And my goodness, has the Cayenne ever gone up in price? It now has in Canada a starting price of $95,000, including freight and fees, and over $79,000 in the US. I mean, they're charging a premium for a Porsche for sure.
Okay, so those are the negatives. Some people love the new interior. Have at it. It's just personally, as we were a family, had 3 of them. We like kind of the older ones with real buttons, but on the outside, not really many chances were taken on the design. It's an evolution of what they've done. You notice the biggest change is to the headlamps on the front. It's got a very clean, sculpted look at the back with the tail lamp that goes side to side. And there's so many different trims that you can choose from, and so many packages, and so many ways you can order your Porsche a la carte. You can make it look as aggressive, especially with the new bronze wheels on the GT, the high performance one. That is a pretty neat looking car.
I love the exterior of the new Cayenne. I think that Porsche nailed it with the design. I also like, as you said, all of the a la carte items that are available, obviously depending on your budget. If you have a lot to spend, you can get all of these gorgeous color combinations within the vehicle and different stitching, different trim pieces. You can really make it your own.
If you don't need a third row, and this is not available with a third row in the Porsche Cayenne, it really is, like we said, we're on our third one.
Oh.
It's the perfect family kind of vehicle. It
Yeah.
does so much right for everybody in all seats, and it's got a good cargo area. So it's a winner. There's just a few design choices they made that we're not exactly loving, but that's personal choice.
But you can't beat the handling.
No.
I mean, it drives more like you're driving a sports sedan. It's terrific.
Lots to go through with our specs.
The base engine is a 3-liter V6 turbo with an 8-speed automatic transmission, 348 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. The Cayenne S, a 4-liter V8 bi-turbo with 468 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque. The Cayenne E Hybrid has the base 6-cylinder engine with a combined 463 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. The Cayenne SE Hybrid with 521 horsepower. The Cayenne Turbo E Hybrid with 729 horsepower. The Turbo GT, available exclusively as a coupe, has a 4-liter V8 twin-turbo engine with 650 horsepower. Consumer Reports and J.D. Power give the Cayenne an overall score of 81 out of 100.
Here's the pricing in Canada. Next, we'll do the U.S. This is expensive. The Cayenne starts at $95,500, and the top Turbo GT Coupe is $246,500. Here's the price in the United States. The base V6 starts at just over $79,000, and the most expensive Turbo GT Coupe is $196,000. Here's the fuel economy for the base engine. It's 13.8 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 10.2 on the highway. That's 17 miles per gallon city, 23 miles per gallon highway.
So there's our list in alphabetical order, our top 5. Type below, tell us your favorite. Tell us your top 5 list. Maybe you don't agree with us. We'd love to hear from you.
So there might be some you're thinking, well, how come that one didn't make the list?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's in our honorable mentions.
Up first is the Audi Q7. It's getting a little bit old, but it still holds up design-wise. We like the value it offers in the 3-row SUV category. It's spacious and comfortable. It's a pleasant, large SUV to drive daily.
The only Korean on the list is the Genesis GV80. It has a beautiful interior, it's quiet and luxurious, it handles pretty well and has some good value, especially the base 2.5-liter turbo model. It's priced at $76,000 or $57,000 in the US, and you get a lot of standard features on that trim.
The Range Rover. Wow, different powertrain options are available. It offers a beautiful exterior and interior. It's an excellent handling SUV. Reliability, on the other hand, not so great. Consumer Reports gives the Range Rover Sport an overall score of 61 out of 100. And J.D. Power, a little bit better, 79 out of 100. But it's the Consumer Reports predicted reliability score that is a concern of 31 out of 100.
And the last honorable mention goes to the Volvo XC90. With a timeless design, it still looks good after many, many years. It's got a beautiful interior, clever storage, and an upscale look. Plenty of powertrain options, including one of the first in the market with a plug-in hybrid.
That's our final top 5 of the year. That's our whole recap of the luxury midsize SUV category.
I need a nap after all of that.
That's a lot of information to take in. Thanks for watching.
So watch it again, would you?